Brushes. Really, you want to get the right brush to do the right job. A rigger brush, a flat brush. Tilt your paper. Water runs downhill. Get some Payne's gray on your flat brush. Add a little bit of either a burnt sienna or orange, something to warm up the Payne's gray. Check it. Good. Got a nice flow. Hold the brush up straight at about a 45-degree angle and slowly make your mark. Twisting, letting the brush do the work. Taking a little more of that nice dark brown, adding some sides to the tree. Little branches like to attach to the tree at different angles. 45 degrees, 90 degrees, some even hang down. Now what I'm doing is just adding some more paint at the bottom to make the foot. Yes, trees have feet. That's where the root goes into the ground, makes a gentle curve at the bottom. You see that? Almost looks like an elephant's foot. So if you don't do that, your tree will look like it's sitting on top of the ground. Here we finish up the top with a nice slow stroke. Go as slow as you can. Think about what you're doing. See how the paint's collecting? Add another little branch beginning. I've got 3, and my picture has a nice curve to it. Perfectly straight is okay. I'm going to show you how to do it fast. Some trees are like that. And you go through the same principles. You're going to add the foot. And then I'll be showing you how to do this in a second. How to take that one and just add the details to it. So there's the two kinds of trees. They're either straight or they're not. Let's get that tree so it really looks like it's anchored in the ground. The way we do that, we take a damp brush, but not too wet, just a little damp. And bring that water moisture up to the bottom of the tree. Now we're going to add some dark, because that will really just sink in a little bit into the tree, giving one side of the tree dark and the other side a little lighter, depending on which side it's coming from the sun. Thinking is a very good habit, I agree. So here we have two schools of thought. Some people think you should jump in, and other people, like myself, who have tried jumping in for years, I think in now. Once I think in, then I know I can jump in. So I take the same mixture, add a little burnt sienna. Yeah, burnt sienna and Payne's gray are pretty friendly towards each other. And they make a good, yeah, oh, what are we doing here? Oh, here we go. Think in. Hey, I'm thinking. See, I don't want to be in the middle, and I don't want to be in the middle from the side or the bottom. I want to be just at the 3/4 section. There we go. Nice little loose wavy tree. Right to the top. Now I'm doing a little thinking. I got to put my foot in. I already know that. And I have to make it look like it's in the ground. Thinking, what do I do? Okay, there's my little branch. We already did that. See what else is going to happen in this one. The last tree was a good warm-up. You want to do a few of these. Get a few, what in music we call them chops, meaning get a few things that you do really well and use them when you paint. Make them into a habit. Like doing thumbnail sketches. We're going to do some of those today. Tilting your paper. Here comes the rigger brush. If you've never used a rigger brush, you have not painted trees. Or ships. They used to use them for the lines on ships. So there it goes. Look at that. Almost effortless. The brush has a lot of spring, and because it's long, it holds a lot of paint. And they come in different sizes. Once you use them, you'll be sold. They're one of the best watercolor tools out there. Notice how I'm putting dark sections where the branches are. If you study trees, you'll see that. It's always a little darker under the branch. Now I'm going to add 3. Pretty soon I'm going to look and say, let me look at those branches. Ah, let's have a little friend here with them. There we go. Put that near the bottom. I like how that's flowing to the right. And we put a little bit of a turn there. That's subtle. Look at how subtle that is. But that little bit makes the difference. I've left the white there at the base of the tree, but right now I'm thinking I'm going to connect them, because connecting your shapes is very important from a design view. Now here we have 2, we want 3. 3 works better than 2. In painting, 3's company and 2 doesn't work. Unless that's intentional. See, it's pointing up. They don't all have to point the same direction. Now you might ask, why don't I put leaves on my tree here? Well, that would be just another technique. We're just getting really good at the shape of the tree. I'm adding some cadmium yellow in here. Oh, actually Hansa yellow. And it's going to eat into the brown to make a mossy look. Important to do those little exercises. Here we go. Jump in and away we go. One shot, just let her go. Now we'll add the base. So think in goes with bold. The bold is on the left side. The think is on the right side. So jump in. Then what you want to do is wait. Because once you've done your big bold stroke, watch it. Don't be in a hurry to keep being bold. Do something bold and then watch it. So combination of the two, thinking and jumping in, very important. But just to do one and not the other, you might get lucky once in a while, but most of the time your paintings aren't going to work. Look at that. I know it's wet, so I add a big shot of dark, and now I'm going to tilt my paper so it runs down. Water runs downhill. See that? Great little technique, used all the time by professionals. You can be a professional watercolor artist. You don't have to be like making millions of dollars at it. Lots of people play music and they're very competent and they've never made an album. So have fun while you're doing this. This is learning. You're getting some skills here that can change your attitude and give you a lot of pleasure. So there's my straight tree. Okay, here we have dry. Look at how it's dried. That green, it almost looks absolutely real. So we let that one dry. Let it dry. Great habit, let things dry before you do anything. This one, we're going to work this wet. We're going to use wet. 2 things you can use. 2 things you can use, wet and dry. So the first thing I'm going to do is get some water and my squirrel hair brush, and I'm going to wet the surface of this 140-pound Fabriano paper. There we go. Now remember, I just did the tree, so it is a little damp. Now I don't mind if I have a little bit of Payne's gray in this brush. Gray is a great color to have as an undercoat, even if you're going to put blue over it. See, halfway. I'm going to bring it down farther than halfway. Halfway doesn't work, 2 doesn't work, 3 is good, so 1/3 or 2/3 of the way down is good. Good habit is to think in 3s, not 2. Wet both sides of the paper, being very careful to leave a white space between the wet tree and the wet paper. Remember, the tree is wet. You're going to see a little dispersion here in a second. So now I take some nice phthalo blue. And notice the brush, I point it at the edge I'm painting. The tip of the brush is pointing at the tree. And over here I've got the side of the brush pointing. Look how the white is showing up. Now I'm going to pull down the blue. Because the paper's wet, it'll do it good. It'll work really well. Okay? Now you can turn the paper when you do this. Usually when I'm filming, I just twist my arm around. But if you want to make sure you don't get into that beautiful white area on the tree, turn your paper so you can use the tip of the brush. Okay, now I'm randomly putting in some of the Payne's gray. I have no idea what I'm doing here except I'm using the wet principle. But as far as design, I'm not really thinking about what's going in behind. I'm just showing you how there's a little dispersion there. See what happens when you apply paint in a wet manner. Look at the bead on the left. So we're thinking here, the bead on the left, you see that nice bead of water, and there we have the dispersion there. So we're wet, 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 wet. Learn to use wet for your advantage. Now everything's cool here, so we're going to warm it up. I'm going to take a little bit of this very strong cadmium red. I'm going to add some Hansa yellow to it so I can get a really strong orange, and I'm going to be bold here. See, wiggle, wiggle. And here comes the big stroke. Pretty soon, there's warm, and there's warm. So I'm going to think warm, and now I got to go cool. I need something cool, like maybe a green. I have my little sable brush here. It's about $25. It's worth it. It's a sable blend, so about 60% sable. And here, right beside that tree, coming up, controlling it, we'll come beside it and wiggle it up. And now I might be thinking a little bit. Yeah, I think I'll extend it over there. And here comes the swipe. There you go. Now, it's an interesting picture, but because it had no thinking on the left, the right one still could go somewhere, and it will in a project coming up.